While it's possible to process and analyze NMR spectra at the workstation, it's more convenient to take your data to another computer. MestreNova is a very powerful application. We'll only need its most basic functions: measuring chemical shift, integration, and producing a well-formatted spectrum for inclusion in lab reports. To begin, open the .h1 or .fid file using either the dialog or dragging and dropping. Don't be intimidated by all the buttons and menus. There's a lot of duplication and functionality. We'll focus here on the keyboard shortcuts, which are quick and intuitive, but feel free to use the buttons, most of which are in this area. It's always a good idea to apply baseline correction. Hit B and select an algorithm like Whittaker Smoother. In this case, the baseline isn't bad, but if your spectrum looks like this, baseline correction goes a long way. Right-clicking on the spectrum brings up a context menu that contains most of the tools you need. You can also find these tools on the menu bar. At the bottom of the context menu is Properties, where you can set parameters like fonts, line widths, and colors. Here I'm going to add a title. If you prefer to turn off grid lines, use the boxes here. Zooming is a click and drag affair using this group of buttons or the keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcut Z toggles the horizontal and vertical zoom tools. Shift Z zooms out, and F returns to the full spectrum. This spectrum is okay. That's definitely a quartet, definitely a singlet, definitely a triplet, but it's not perfect. There seem to be some sidebands here and here. Zooming in closely reveals multiple maxima and a non-Lorentzian peak shape. These are artifacts usually caused by a misadjusted shim or occasionally a bad NMR tube. This is still usable data, but some decision-making is required. MestreNova can process the whole spectrum automatically, but will generate a lot of clutter and unnecessary data points. First, make sure the chemical shift is calibrated. Locate the TMS peak. Note that it's not quite at 0 ppm. Go to Reference, or type L, select the peak, and call it 0. For consistency, let's pick only the right maxima. To label chemical shifts, go to Peak Picking and select Peak by Peak. Hover over the desired peak, it will snap to the maximum, and click. Repeat until you've labeled all the relevant signals. To integrate, select Manual Integration from the context menu, or hit I, then click and drag across each signal. Remember, these numbers only represent ratios. The first signal you integrate will be given an arbitrary value of 1. MestreNova can also stack and automatically align multiple spectra. This is useful for comparisons against standards or predictions. To start, make sure the Pages pane is open from the View menu, and open or drag in .h1 files. Note, this only works with raw spectra. When the spectrum is formatted and annotated to your satisfaction, you can print directly from the computer or export it as a PDF file. It's a good idea to save a copy of the .mnova file on your own removable disk.